Okay, and I'll just say we've missed a little bit of the prelude here, but we've just, this is our first meeting of this book club, and I just introduced myself, but I'll be able to say more later. And I'm turning it over to BB.
Hi, I'm BB. I work with Tim, and a few years ago, he started telling me about Cosmos and Psyche, and it sounded really interesting. And so I asked if I could borrow the book. And I still have it because I never ended up reading it. So when he's formed this book club, he's like, since you still have my book, would you like to join this book club and finally read it? And I'm like, yes. So yeah, I know nothing about astrology, but I'm very interested in it. I'm kind of agnostic to it, I guess. And yeah, I'm just excited to finally read this book and be, like have a schedule to read this book so I actually read it, and yeah, and find out more about astrology and everything. So yeah.
And I'm glad that you jumped in. Thank you for
No problem.
we can go to any person next. Or I can call on someone.
Okay, I'll go. I'm Katie from Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I learned about Rick's work through holotropic breath work and the work of Stan Groff. And I've participated in, I did my first holotropic breathwork thing with Stan and 300 other people in Oakland at the MAPS conference, in 2017, I think, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. And so I was really struck with how significant, how wonderful the holotropic breathwork experience was, and intrigued by the idea that these kinds of experiences can be enhanced by knowing about your astrological signs. So I've been studying Stan's work, and I've been studying the work of Jung, and it's all pretty overwhelming. And I love Rick's work. I love to hear him talk, and I've watched all of his annual YouTube presentations. And a lot of my friends who are Jungians, and I'm a retired art teacher and ceramics teacher. So I just played in the mud for years. And so I don't have a really broad knowledge of Carl Jung, and certainly not astrology. And I've had my birth chart, looked at several times by skilled archetypal astrologers, but I'm really overwhelmed by the size of this book and the content of it. I just feel like I'm going to be swamped again with stuff I just have to kind of claw through. So new information. So
just to interrupt for a sec, I forgot. So is this the first time for you reading the book also?
I have not read the book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've read the two suitors and a couple of chapters, but I'm not very far into it. Mm-hmm. So I thought that it would be good that if I joined a group, I would be able to commit myself to reading the book.
Yeah.
But I'm a very slow reader, and we'll see whether I get through the book or not.
Okay.
I have probably a dozen books that I've started reading that are stacked around my bed and on tables and chairs and sofas, and that I'm making my way through them. This is going to be formidable. So
Hopefully-
thanks. I'm done.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully we've paced it out so it's not too much, too quick. Whoever would like to go next is welcome.
Well, I'll go. My name's Kyle Pierce, and I'm in Michigan, and I'm retired software developer, and I actually spent quite a bit of my career writing software for astrologers, and I worked at Matrix Software, which is in how I got to Michigan in the first place. And then I'm here for I have retired to Kalamazoo, and I really like it here. After I lived in Colorado for quite a few years, but the people got to me, so I had to come back to Michigan. So so I took, it was actually 4 years ago, Rick Tarnas and Stan Groff offered an online course called Psyche and Cosmos. Anyway, it was a kind of a play on the title of the book. So this was a lengthy course, and they just took turns talking and presenting, and so it was really quite an experience. And so I guess I wanted more, so I signed up for Ren's course, and but it's just it's hard for me to find a place for myself in the astrological world, to find where is my astrological home. And really I'm sort of on my own. I do my own research, but it's there's people have told me, more than one person has said, what you're doing these days, it seems similar to what Richard Tarnas has done, except that it is, instead of dealing with world events, it is, I'm looking at individual people. I'm looking at notable people and finding, people who all have the same, they were all born under the same stellium or that sort of thing. So I guess I'm somewhere in between being a researcher and being just a straight practitioner. I mean, I don't really do readings for people for the most part, but I have, I still hope to do something more with that. Like what I do is, one of the things I do is I find counterparts, astrological counterparts, for whomever I'm looking for, people who are similar to them astrologically. I mean, who are the most similar, and who are rare, who share the same rare kinds of planetary figures, that sort of thing. So so I feel a kinship with Rick Tarnas. And I have to, and I do admit it, he's definitely an influence on me, even though it took a long time before I realized, wow, I guess I am really sort of doing what he's I'm sort of following in his footsteps, and I'm fine with that. So anyway, I guess that's about all I need to. I haven't read the book.
Okay.
I got it on my Kindle, and I'm hoping, like everybody else, I'm hoping it will get me, sort of in tune to do that reading. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, great. Maybe I could read Pia, I think hope I'm pronouncing that right, has made a text. She's not able to be on camera. I could read it. So she says, I'm going to introduce myself via chat just for today because I am in a space that is not private. My background is Jungian, but I know virtually nothing about astrology. You may read this aloud. Whoops, I should have probably double checked that before I read it. I have my headphones on. The density of the material can be overwhelming. I agree, Katie. I have the audio copy from Audible as well as the hard copy. I have found it helpful to do the two together as the pace is slower. And for myself, it is soothing to listen. Just thought I would throw that in the mix. I'm looking forward to being together. Thank you, Pia. Okay, well, we can move on to Lane or Jennifer. And I'm not sure if Kitty is wants to speak too. Any of you three, if you'd like to go next.
This is Kitty. Can you hear me or no?
Faint. It's a little bit low, but yeah.
Okay. Hold on.
Is anybody talking?
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
It's still pretty quiet, just a little bit. We can barely hear you.
Okay. Well, I have no visual because I have a very old laptop.
The audio is great now.
Oh, it's great.
Oh, good. Thank you. Yeah, I had to put a headset on. So I'm due for a new laptop and I hope I make it through this session okay. But yeah, I don't even know where to start. I've been interested in astrology and the esoteric arts, if you will, ever since I was a kid, believe it or not, which is a long, long time ago. I too am retired. And I keep telling myself life just kept getting in the way, but now I just really want to dive in. And a few years ago, I was looking over YouTube and I happened to stumble across the Astrology Podcast with Christopher Brennan and Kelly Surtees and Austin Coppock, I think. And they were just brilliant. I was just swept away. And that too was overwhelming because they were talking way above my head, but they were speaking. So they were so articulate and they really showed a lot of graphics of visual imagery and, slowly but surely you pick things up. But I just really enjoyed their discussion. They were very, very scholarly and professional. So I was really impressed. And then I also happened to stumble on Richard Tarnas on YouTube as well. And I had always had an interest in Jung, Joseph Campbell, and I took classical mythology in school. And my background, Katie, is also in the arts. I studied fine arts. And so I've just started to get really serious. And I also have had the book for about 2 years now and haven't read it yet. And I'm surrounded by stacks of books that are on my list of things to do. So I think being in a group is very, very helpful because then it's almost like being in a class in school where you have to do your homework, right? And my motto has always been, you're either committed or you ought to be. So I'm going to try and commit myself to this group and I'm really excited. I think it's great. Thanks for starting it, Tim.
You're welcome. I'm not going to be too hard of a teacher.
Okay.
Either Jennifer or Lane.
I will go next. All right, so I'm Jen. You already heard my voice a little bit. I'm from Baltimore. I am mostly a private music teacher by trade, but I actually do some astrology work and some card readings a couple times a month, usually, and have like students occasionally. So I do a little work in astrology. And so I got interested in astrology and started diving in back in 2009. And I've been aware of this book since pretty much back then. And at one point I read about the first 80 pages, but like many people have expressed here, except for Tim, who just dove right in and read it several times. I got intimidated at some point and put it down. And I'm also a little ADD and over enthusiastic, as I think some other people have also expressed, like about reading multiple books, which I am as well. But I'm here to encourage you because I think we can do it. And I'm in the middle of the second unit now, which is rereading for me since I read the beginning before, but I feel much more optimistic having started it and having a certain pace and people to be accountable with that, I won't have any problem finishing it and could probably actually go faster than I've been going. And I agree with what Pia said, I think, about like, it's nice to listen to. I've been hopping back and forth. I have all the modalities because I do that. So I have Kindle and Audible and the hardcover, and I'm finding myself actually liking to have it on Kindle so I can take it with me, and also listening here and there and then reviewing when I want to. So yeah, but I'm excited to keep reading it because I feel like I don't know, I just feel like it'll broaden my practice and my understanding, and I don't work with mundane astrology that much. I'm used to working mostly on a psychological level and mostly one-on-one, and I've been getting into, in addition to this, I've been getting into, and I think someone else mentioned Chris Brennan, like looking into Hellenistic astrology a little bit, and maybe a more concrete form that has been around for a while. And between archetypal astrology and Hellenistic astrology, I feel like there's a lot to learn, but there always is with astrology. There's always a lot of stuff to learn. So I'm just glad to be here and to meet you guys. And as I already mentioned, and as Tim mentioned, I have my own little group going too with it, and it's been really nice. It's been nice to we've only met once so far, but we've also been chatting about the book a little bit in the Discord, and it's just nice to be able to discuss it with someone. I definitely feel like this is the sort of book that it feels easier to digest and maybe just more fun, like to be able to discuss with other people. So great to be here.
Yeah, thank you. I'll second that. I think especially as we get going, it's the type of book where I think people will feel almost like a need to talk about it. It's for one way or another, it's almost compels one to think and talk and think about what one makes of all of this. But yeah, I can pass it to Lane.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Lane, calling in from Los Angeles, and I am a friend of Jen's, and so I'm in this other group, and I wanted to come explore and see this group as well. And I have a philosophy background. I went to a great book school, so it's like a double major in philosophy and the history of math and science called St. John's in Annapolis, Maryland, and I was also raised with a lot of spirituality and mostly ways that did not work for me. And I'm in this moment, so I have some amount of background with astrology and other kinds of spiritual practice, but I'm in a moment now of having pushed a lot of that away for kind of like hyper rational philosophy brain, and then seeing a lot of that as incompatible with the kind of spirituality I grew up with, and now finding that I need some kind of conduit for a deeper experience and a more intuitive experience than my previous way of thinking was offering me. And so tarot is really the face of that for me right now. And I'm also like getting into more astrology stuff both as a way of exploring myself. I think for me, a lot, it is very kind of more in the personal sphere, and like tarot is a self-care practice primarily, and then astrology is like supporting the tarot. But I think this book is exciting to me because it's I'm also just in a moment of needing a lot of like integration of different parts of myself. And so this idea that like this history of Western thought and this approach to astrology and as above, so below and all of that, like they don't have to be incompatible, right? Like that's a story that I was telling myself, that was a binary that I created, right? And so that's the appeal of this book. And definitely in reading book one, I'm like going off in all these offshoots of like, is that how people responded to Copernicus? You know, and all of this. So my brain kind of goes into analytical mode, at least in the first book, but have really been enjoying it so far. And yeah, nice to meet all of you and be here.
Great to meet you. Yeah, any kind of like that, it's fine to have that brain like challenging whether like what he's saying in Cosmos and Psyche is really truly like acceptable or is really truly valid. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of that as we move along, different people, different sides of it. Well, I think everyone has introduced themselves, right? I'm curious, just as like informally, have some or all of you been seeing some or all of the Changing of the Gods, which the docuseries, which was sort of, for me, the impetus. I tried to time this to that series. And I think Jennifer didn't try to time it, but it just happened, right?
It totally just happened. Like, it was kind of funny that when I decided I wanted to do the book club, a friend asked me, "Are you doing this because of the docuseries?" And I was like, "What docuseries?" So very auspicious.
Have others been seeing the series and have any like strong feelings about it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I-
watched it.
I haven't, but I want to. Is it possible to see episodes that have already aired or no?
Today is the last day until midnight. You can
Oh,
see
okay.
it.
Binge watch after this.
Okay.
Right.
Phoebe, I've bought I bought it, so
Oh,
you're
Wow.
fine. I can hook you up if you want to see
okay.
it.
Cool,
Cool.
cool.
We live close nearby.
Okay.
Same
Can I
city.
ask a question, Tim?
Yeah.
This is Kitty.
Oh,
I was very interested in purchasing it also, even though I thought their marketing was really obnoxious.
yeah. On that note, both Richard Tarnas and Kenny Alsobel, the filmmaker, both like went out of their way to say like,
I noticed that, yes.
we don't like this marketing. It's not us, but please, you
It's
have to.
almost embarrassing for them, maybe. I don't
It was
know.
embarrassing for me, for others.
Yeah,
Yeah, bad marketing,
yeah.
but a good series.
So my question is, I looked at it, and the first time I looked at it, I just wanted to see how much they were going to be asking. And I swear it said either 147 or 174 for the gold package. And then I didn't have time. I thought, well, I'll do this later. And the next day, when I opened up my email and I looked at it again, the price was like twice unless I imagined it. Now it's 200 and something.
I don't remember
For the-
exactly. There was like different levels, and I know
Yeah,
I live with someone who's also interested, so we split the cost, but we went for
okay,
the higher one. But I think it was in the 200s. It's
okay.
yeah.
Maybe I misread it then. Yeah, it's a lot. You get a lot with the package, but that's quite a bit to,
Not gonna buy it.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's an investment. Yeah,
I'll wait till it's on Netflix, right?
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that'd be nice.
I could always check the prices. I could do that right now, actually, while we're on the call, because I don't feel like the lower package was above 100 anymore. I don't think it raised above that, but I could check.
Yeah. Well, they had 3 packages and it looked like the silver and the gold were an identical price, but you got so much more with the gold package, which made sense. It was like 68% off or something. So I'm sure that would increase their sales. Maybe I just didn't read it right. The very first time I opened it, I swear it only said 174. And I thought, I think I could manage that, Now it's almost 300, but
I'll type
Yeah.
it in the chat when I find it.
thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think, did Kyle and Katie both say you saw some of the series? Was that
I
right?
did.
Yeah.
I've seen the whole thing.
Okay, what did you think of it?
Well, I enjoyed it. I know the narrator. She's a friend.
Oh, I was curious. I looked her up. Her name is Kairos, which seems appropriate, her last name. And for
Yeah,
those of you who know, like this whole idea of like time has like in Greek, there's Chronos and Kairos, and
yeah.
Kairos is a kind of time where like everything seems to happen all at once, punctuated equilibrium.
Yeah, so she's a wonderful person, she's beautiful, just a beautiful person. So, I've known it was coming for a while, and a bunch of other people I know were involved in it too. So so I had to watch it. So, and I've enjoyed it, but like you, I've really kind of turned off by the marketing. And Rick Tarnas's annual meeting, like the night it opened, he seemed downright embarrassed by it.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So,
Are you, I mean, New Mexico is a big state, but I understand the filmmaker Kenny Alcibel is from New Mexico. Are you like close to that? Is there like a community that you feel like you're close with him? Or
I don't know. I thought he was a California Bioneers person, but
I could be wrong.
I have not met him. I don't know him. I mean, I know the name, and I know it from prior to knowing anything about this movie. But I mean, but that's all I know. There are a lot of things about New Mexico that surprise me. There are a lot of wonderful people here. So,
By the way, I was just noticing on the site now, if you go to the silver package, they have it for half price supposedly, which is $79.
Yeah, I was just typing this.
So you went there too? Yeah. So anyway,
what did you think of the series, Kyle?
yeah, there were parts of it that I didn't watch the entire thing. I liked like the first episode. I liked, and I got a little tired after 2, 3, 4, and 5 were all just, people in the streets, and I don't know, it seemed really drawn out, that part. But I liked the episode 7 quite a bit, which was the when they were, Sandgroff stuff was in there, and well, so I guess that was the main psychedelic one, perhaps. And then the 9th one I thought was really good, and the 8th one wasn't bad either. So, yeah, I thought it was definitely worthwhile.
And I also hear there's a bonus tomorrow, so get ready for another surprise.
There's another, there's a 10th one, right? Yeah.
That'll be exciting, because I actually really enjoyed the 9th episode. I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I'm really curious
yeah.
what they're going to do with 10.
Yeah.
The 9th was outstanding. Yeah, I'm with Kyle. There were some repetition issues in like a few of the earlier ones, but
It got to be a little repetitious, but also, that marketing, somebody has determined that this is how to sell stuff. I mean, to do that, right? And I think they probably know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they're
So,
just doing their job.
yeah. So, and this is why, even though Rick Tarnas, feels kind of embarrassed about the retailing, I mean, Rick Tarnas is not really delivering retail products in that sense, except for his books. I love like you were saying, Passion of the Western Mind was really wonderful. And so anyway, that's my thought.
I also enjoyed the bonus interviews. I thought those were very good, most of them. And I really liked, I always like to watch Richard Tarnas and Stan Groff, but I also like watching Rick Levine. He's really kind of a genius, I think, too. He's got a great sense of humor, but he was actually a geometry teacher. So he's just brilliant.
Let's see. Well, where should we take it from here? I don't think anyone else is coming in at this point. I wrote down just a few notes.
Pia has added something. Let's read.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
She said, I enjoyed the 9th and thought it complemented very much the first chapter of the book, where Tarnas speaks about the disenchantment of the world and the loss of the anima mundi, the soul of the world. Too much logos is causing pain for the soul of the world and the planet as well. Yep.
that's great. I don't see that in my chat. I wonder why I don't see it.
I don't see it in mine either.
I don't either.
Oh, is that a personal message?
Maybe she messaged Katie.
Maybe.
Oh, that could be.
Where are you reading
That
that
could be,
from?
sure.
Yeah.
Maybe she didn't have it on everyone.
Okay, I just didn't
Yeah.
see it.
I've
Thanks
done
for
that
the link, by the
accidentally
way.
before.
Yeah. Thank you for the link, by the way.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I'm still debating myself because I saw most of the episodes, but I do think it was beautifully made. So
Mhm. Well, so I just wrote down a few notes. It's because no one here has read the whole books. A few of you have read part of the book, right?
Mhm.
Almost like you. So I don't think I need to say, I've read it several times. I don't want to present myself. I'm definitely not here to present myself as an expert on astrology. I think I actually have a kind of limited, I don't have a lot of width. I have or breadth of knowledge. I have a bit of depth with this one field and this one book in particular. But just as just a few words before we, or as we embark on this, as Jennifer and Lane are aware, there's a really, Richard Tarnas goes through a really, he's really painstaking and meticulous in first developing the full context of where we find ourselves today in our just overarching worldview that we have today. And what is included in that is a lot of assumptions. Some of them are maybe not recognized as assumptions, but they're because they're so deep within the culture. But it's just he takes a very careful and painstaking development of kind of who we are, what our worldview is, and how we got there. And this is transpires over 100 pages, I would say. It's really the first, we're several chapters into the book before really the evidence part is going to even appear. Like the evidence that was, that the docuseries got into, just for anyone who's expecting that to happen right away, it's not going to happen right away in the book. So that expectation, I just would say, is going to, we should set aside. And it's like he really lets us sink in slowly first to the perspective that he feels that we hold today as a culture. And the evidence part will come in time, but it's going to be weeks before we get there. When we do get there, there's a program that this will be probably my first plug of it, but I'll probably say a lot more about it. Like I have a software program that I can screen share. It's called Archetypal Explorer. Guessing a few of you have heard of it, maybe, or not. But this is a beautiful program to see visuals of basically the planetary combinations as they come into their different alignments. I won't say too much about it now, but he's a acolyte or disciple of Richard Tarnas's, has created a program where he's it's a fully interactive, beautiful interface where you can see these cycles in the form of like bell curve waves, and you can see all the complex interactions of these waves and move in and out of them. And I can bring that in once we get to the evidence part. That's going to be weeks ahead of us, but just so you know. And then probably others, I'm guessing as we move along, who are deeply into this as well, will be able to maybe share other kinds of the more traditional astrological visuals that we're used to, of like the natal charts and the transits of the planets. But we'll have those visuals that we can like interact with, that when they become helpful. That's going to be weeks away. But so just in general, it's a very, very slow development. Like you're almost like going up a big mountain, and then all of a sudden it's like the roller coaster starts, and but that's weeks away. Yeah, Archetypal Explorer is a question. That's a question mark. Yes, that's the name of the program. And that's just a note on that. I know there are others on this, first of all, on this Zoom call, who I'm sure know many things that I don't know about astrology, but also many others in the group that have at least joined that might be participating, and they'll be able to like help people, including help me, understand more about different parts of astrology. So I'm just to say that much. I'm here not as an expert, but as with a kind of limited, maybe deep in one area kind of experience. And we could keep chatting, or we could sort of bring this to a conclusion for this week, because we don't have any of the book to talk about yet. What do you all think? Anything you want to talk about before we start reading? Ready to go?
Lane can introduce their cat. It was there at the beginning.
Yeah, I rushed in. Anytime I leave the house for more than 3 hours since the pandemic, the cats lose their minds, or that one does. I have two. The one that was here earlier is named Mitya, which is short for Dmitri from the Brothers Karamazov. And then I have a 27-pound chonker, and his name is Jorah, which is Game of Thrones. And he's massive, and you will not see him because that's a lot of jump. I mean, he can jump actually shockingly high for such a massive cat. But he doesn't come get on my lap the way that the black one just wants to. And he's very attracted to Zoom calls. Whenever he ignores me all day, and then as soon as I'm on Zoom, he's like, great. So you'll see him again for sure.
Yeah, okay, so he'll be part of the meetings. Good.
Exactly. He also has a lot of opinions about Richard Tarnas that he is ready to share. So.
I will share that Richard Tarnas has some opinions about the Brothers Karamazov too, which I don't want to anticipate too much, but he talks about the three brothers and relating them to the three outer planets. And this comes later in the much later.
Oh my goodness. That was one of my favorite books in college.
Very excited.
So there's going to be a little plug of your cat. I don't know if your cat is the one that has more the Neptune, the Uranus, the Neptune, or the Pluto aspect, but
probably Uranus.
We'll get into that.
My guess would be that Dmitri is Uranus, right?
Yeah, I would.
I haven't read.
I would think so.
Yeah, I haven't read Karamazov myself, but Tarnas felt like, well, Dostoevsky, first of all, had the three planets all in hard aspect in his birth chart. He was born in the 1810s, I think, right in there somewhere. And Tarnas felt like this was a complex that he was playing out repeatedly throughout his novels, and that in Karamazov, this was sort of the apotheosis of like him, in a way, projecting each of these individual archetypes into the three brothers. One being the more Uranus, rebel, innovator, breaking of the rules brother. One of them being the Neptunian, more spiritual, dreamy brother, and then one of them being, I guess, the Plutonic, sort of emotional, volcanic brother. I think those are the outer three planets.
I feel very strongly which one is which, and now I'm very curious to see if that's the case that he makes, or if he makes a different case. But what a fun game also to.
You just kind of have to read everything to them, but not jump ahead to that. Don't check the index.
Oh man!
Now you've given me the tools for how to do it and said not to. Now
we'll get there. That's a few weeks away.
Okay. Okay.
I have a little favor to ask if it's possible. I hope this isn't too bold, but Jennifer, since you have some experience doing charts, is that correct?
I do, yeah.
It just occurred to me, it might be kind of fun to do, I don't know if it would be an event chart, but a chart for this group for today's date. And we started at, well, it was 7 p.m. my time, Central Time. Might be kind of fun,
Oh,
you know?
yeah. Oh, that
Okay.
would be like a fun, yeah, it's kind of like a birth chart for this group, so to speak. I don't know if the birth chart
Yeah, there you go.
was the
Yeah.
first day or when Tim started it, but like it could still be fun just to run it. I will say this off the top of my head.
Uh-huh.
Venus and Mars, which have been in a close dance
Yes.
a while now, and Mars actually got ahead of Venus, which is very strange.
Uh.
Like they both just entered Aquarius, and I feel like it's very auspicious, a group like this being born on a day that Mars
Yeah.
and Venus enter Aquarius together. So
Yeah, that's cool. I am
but yeah, I'd
studying
like to have a
astrology
chart
a
for the
little.
group if you want me to.
That would be fun. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll post that.
Great.
Well, we could leave it here if you want to. We could conclude here and, start reading the book if you'd like. I guess one
I
question.
gotta go.
Yeah. One thing I thought I would try to ask, we have a small selection of people here from our overall group, but I was just wondering what time could work for people. I know we have some people in Europe that have at least said they'd like to be part of it, and this time would be hard for them. But any chance? Well, I know we have Lane on the West Coast. We have New Mexico. Is there a general time that like does or doesn't work for the group on Sundays? I was thinking Sundays would be best.
I think Sundays are good. And since I'm retired, I can get up and speak in the middle of the night anyway. So if
Okay.
I need to.
Lane, would it be okay if we moved it a little earlier for subsequent weeks, or is this like a better time?
So I can do 30 minutes earlier, or I can do between 1:30 and 3:30 Pacific consistently. That's and then also my schedule can be a little bit stupid. I'm a freelancer and a filmmaker, so I either have tons of availability and flexibility or zero, negative a million. So I can be a hard person to try to plan around. And so if others have clearer needs, then I can just drop in when I can also. But that's my consistent availability, short of shoots and travel that will just come up unexpectedly.
Okay, great. Well, this has been great to meet all of you. I think this has been a lot of fun. I think it's going to like become even more diverse group as we move along and start being able to talk about the actual book. Thank you all for jumping in and like doing this. I'm really interested in just seeing the scope of people's thoughts about this amazing book.
It's good to meet everybody.
Yeah, thank you. It'll be fun.
I'll be here.
Agreed.
Yeah,
You too.
I'm glad I'm not alone in being kind of intimidated by the
No,
amount of work.
So is this,
You're not alone, Katie.
I haven't.
being
No.
cold. It's okay.
so this is weekly, right?
Yeah, so I thought we would read a chapter a week. Just
Oh,
simple.
okay.
One chapter a week. We'll have a conversation once a week. If people fall behind, it's okay. You can always just join the meeting if you want, even if you fall behind, or but just to like keep a schedule, I thought one chapter a week, and we'll just see what people think about it and move along.
A chapter, not a book.
What do you mean by a book?
Or a part?
There's like, I don't have it.
Like, how do we call each of these? He's like got little, what I would have called chapters are the shorter sections, and then there are what I'm calling units because they don't have names.
Yeah, like, are we talking like 10 pages or like 50
I
pages?
think he's
right?
talking
'Cause
about
there's
what we're
different-
calling a unit, Lane.
It's like
Yeah, he's-
30-ish
yeah.
pages. I can grab a copy right now and check if you would just.
Yeah.
You mean the first 4 or 5 little bits?
Yeah,
Is
I'll
what you
check
mean?
one.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Well, there are 8 parts, right?
Yeah, I think he means what you're calling parts now. I think that's
Um,
yes.
So
We just
Yeah.
need a name for it.
Tell us the title of what to
So
read for next week.
here is part 1, the transformation of the cosmos.
Great.
Uh-huh.
I'm
Yeah,
calling that chapter 1, I guess.
okay.
Chapter 2
Or
is
section 1 or whatever, yeah.
yeah, I thought I'd use the word chapter. Chapter 2 would be here. This is where we would start the following week.
Right.
Okay.
So this is meaning it would be just like 36 pages this week.
Yeah, that's not
Okay.
bad.
The range of pages, I'm just calling these chapters, for just to like stick with one term, I guess. But these range from about like 30-ish pages to there's one that's 90. That's more or less that comes later. It's like I think the 7th week. That'll be a big one, but the rest are more like 30, 50, somewhere in there. And that still means 2 months of reading, but I thought, I don't know, that seemed like a good balance of like, we don't want to take half a year with the book, but we don't want to try to crunch it too tight. So,
Great. I just wanted to make sure I knew what the word chapter meant.
yeah. Part 1, the transformation of the
I love
cosmos.
it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
We already read that, so.
Read it already. Nailed it.
All right, so let's just we'll start the conversation right now then.
I'm ready. I have my thoughts
no.
prepared.
I think
Everybody else is like, ah.
yeah. So what did you think of
Attack.
part 1?
Okay.
No, I think, yeah, sounds good. I think maybe we'll just end it here and really looking forward to talking with everyone. Thanks for coming out for this first one tonight too.
Yeah, thank you. It's nice meeting everybody.
And nice
Yeah.
meeting
This is
everyone.
great, guys.
Everybody.
Okay.
Take care.
See
Bye-bye.
you next week.
Bye. See you
Thanks.
next.
Okay,
Have a
Good
good
night.
night, guys.
yeah,
Night.
good night.